Alright, what's good YouTube? So in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys everything you need to know to make a proper dark Atlanta type beat. This has been a growing wave over the last year or so with guys like Nardo Wick and 42 dugg, and it's kind of a fusion of how Southside makes his beats combined with a little bit more of like a without warning type feel. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to work with some of the producers who are really like pushing this sound recently. And basically what I'm going to be doing in this video is showing you the kind of stuff that I would send out to them as collabs or even like placement opportunities. Real quick before this video starts, if you want any of the drum sounds or samples that I use in this tutorial, there's a link in the description where you can download them completely free. Also, I made a collab pack full of a bunch of FLPs that you guys can work on completely free with ease. That's also linked in the description, so go get that. It's fire. And yeah, with that in mind, let's get into the video. Okay, so let's start off with the melody. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to know, one, you're going to be wanting to make your beats in lower octaves. Things like D sharp minor as well as C sharp minor I find are really good. The reason you want to do this is not only is it going to allow the rapper's vocals to properly sit in lower octaves, but also helps kind of give it like that evil feel because, you know, your 808 is going to tend to follow the root note of your melody or your actual scale. And especially with the 808s that we're going to be using for these trap beats, you want the 808s to be hitting in lower octaves because that's what's really going to make it knock on speakers and clubs. For these beats, in terms of the actual sounds, the type of stuff we want to go for are like dark bells, synths, sounds with a lot of ambient, so stuff like reverb and delays with some fadeaway in there. And as for the melody, you want to focus on creating like repetition, rhythm, rather than just going for stuff that's just like chords, because a lot of the times the melodies are so ambient and repetitive that you can't even like tell what's really being played, but trust me, you can feel them, and that's really what we're going for. Also, with that being said, since we're doing evil stuff, we want to fit as much tension into our melodies as possible, meaning two notes that are playing side by side in the scale, because that's what's going to create that evil feel that we're going for. I'm going to be using D sharp minor, so that means tension notes for me I already know are going to be F and F sharp, as well as B and A sharp. And also with that in mind, last thing I want to note before getting into the melody itself, get it? Note, to further create ambience and evil feel, you want to have our tension notes overlap each other a lot, which means playing on top of one another instead of just cutting off right away. So what I'm going to do is go into that collab pack of mine and give you guys a prime example of this with an evil melody I made. Okay, so this is the main melody that plays in the beat. If I were to play these basic chords without the overlap, it would sound something like this. But with the overlap, it sounds like this. So even though we're using tension, because we're not having that same overlap, it's not giving that same like eerie dark feel as much as we wanted it with the original melody, even though we're practically like only using tension notes in this melody. And yeah, that's super important to know when making these types of beats because it's really going to make a difference. Okay, so with this all in mind, I'm now going to make the melody for the beat. I got this preset from Serum, not a VST I'd normally recommend for these types of beats, but I heard it and I thought it sounded really evil. It's called BL Blue Crystal, and it comes from a Studio Sounds bank. And yeah, what I'm going to do is just like lay down a super basic evil melody. I have it cloned over here. I'm just gonna lay down like another melody, I guess. Notice how I'm doing a lot of like the skip overs like that. I don't know what to call it, but it just like forces you to be repetitive when you make your melodies like that versus just like clicking everything in all at once. That's hot. Okay, so now that I have those basic melodies laid down, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into the mixer and I'm just going to link those two things like that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is probably the biggest secret to making these types of beats. So naturally, when you find like the same preset of a melody, you want to find a bunch of unique ways to layer it, but not make it identical to our original sound. And this is naturally going to work 100% of the time. Ways you do this, like for example, guys like Southside, what he does is he'll record his melodies and then he'll like halftime them and then he'll like pitch them down or pitch them up, or he might like EQ them, throw reverb effects, you know. There's a lot of things you can do that work. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into solo this. I'm going to go into halftime. And what I'm going to do is just mess around with these knobs here. The biggest ones to mess with are the sustain if you want to give it like this kind of like unique skipping effect. And you want to mess with the halftime length as well as you like. Generally, I find that the higher values tend to work better because it's going to end up giving you that overlap to the melody that we want. And then once you have that recorded in a sample, what you want to do is really just mess around with it. Drop or increase the pitch a whole octave as you feel. Reverse it. EQ it. Maybe add some like RC20 or reverb. Add a little filter to it. All those things I just said, I promise will eventually work if you keep messing with them. And yeah, that's what I'm going to do right here. Disc recording rendered away file. Okay, just like that, basic framework for the melody done. I also have this additional layer here. I'm just gonna record that. Maybe I want to mess with it. I don't know. Okay, so the next part of this tutorial is going to be the drums. Generally, these beats follow the same formula that like generic trap does. Sounds like spins 808, hit one hi-hat, Lex Luger clap. Again, all linked in the description for you guys. I got some of my sounds preloaded because I have a template for these types of beats that I use a lot of the times. And basically, all the things you really need to know for this is one, hi-hats. You just kind of want to do rolls as you like. Either have your hi-hats or 808s. One of them be like very repetitive though, because you don't want to have it be like all over the place all the time. I find that it's a formula that tends to work really well and finds like a nice balance between not being too repetitive and still being very unique. And make sure that your patterns are 4 bars long instead of 2, just because you don't want it again to be too repetitive. And that's also something at Southside and a lot of these producers do. And also one last thing to note, generally for the 808s, at the very end of the pattern, you want some sort of like variation roll. So something like this. And yeah, with that in mind, I'm just gonna go ahead and make the beat and show you guys what that looks like. Rat kick, spins 808, never go wrong. Alt K, line, bang. Honestly, like, there's nothing really else you need to add at this point. Like, the drums are super basic, but they're knocking and they're simple and they're going. One thing you can do is you can layer a snare, I guess, to make the clap hit a little bit harder. One thing people tend to do for these types of beats is just to give it a little bit more evil feel. You've seen that Racer video with Metro. He does this. What he does is he just pitches the snare down one semitone like this. So now it hits, it gives it a little bit of like a meaner feel, I guess. I don't know, Metro said it, so. Literally all that's left to do is like arrange it, like super basic arrangement. Just give him something you can like spit on, you know, like freestyle and all that. So that's what really they're going to be doing. Like, don't worry too much about arrangement. If anything, just like don't make it too boring, but also like you don't want like insane pauses and stuff. Like when you have breaks in between for like when the hook is coming in, I know a thing a lot of people do is they'll just take the drums out completely. I wouldn't do that for these types of beats. Maybe just leave like the 808 in, or just like, you know, have it go out and then come back in really quickly. You know, you don't want to leave them hanging. But yeah, no, all it's really left to do is arrange it. I'm going to do that real quick. I'm going to make a hook with this. Okay, so this part right here is going to be the hook. It's just going to come in with just these sounds like this. I don't even think this sound's playing anymore in the beat. I kind of just use it to layer additional sound. Go right here, automate halftime, take that, boom. And here goes the hook. This is gonna work. Do effector. That, create automation, just give it a little bit of a change up, boom, just like that, arranged. I want this also to sound like kind of fade in the distance, so I'm going to do the exact same thing, just clone the effector over here. Demonic drum kit. There's already reverb on this, but I don't even care. I'm putting more reverb on it. Not explaining much because at this point it's just all feeling, right? And literally just like clone that over like this. Now you go like this, delete that so it ends on the chorus like most beats do. To go like this, add a little intro. Usually I find that the chorus parts like this, or the pre-hook, whatever this part's called in the verse, the end part of it, I guess, works really well when you just like put it like this. One thing I'm gonna do differently though with it, have it fade in like that. So easy, man. This is just easy money, Nardo all day. Really, that's all you need to know to like make a tight beat like this. You know, I don't want to force anything into this because I actually like the beat and I might just send it somewhere. But yeah, if I want to add a sound or like force something into it, I'd probably go get some like airy pad or lead from like either a one-shot kit or like Electra X. But I'm not gonna do that for the sake of this tutorial, as well as I'm not gonna change the hi-hats like I normally would because I kind of like the beat as it is. But yeah, that's basically it for this video. Instagram and Twitter, FinnaFinesse. Let me know in the description what kind of videos you guys want me to do in the near future. If you want to send me stuff or just talk, join the Discord, which will be pinned in the comment section below. Also, all my drum kits, the link in the description, and new videos every 4 to 5 days from now on. So look out for that. And yeah, I'm out. Peace.